Hi, another day. I hope you're ready for some mind-bending, interesting things. You remember we've done quite a lot. We've covered quite a big area already. We've covered some basic trading. We also looked into some, well, I maybe call it theory of autocorrelation and, stochastical processes and all sorts of things. And the next step is really sort of moving back to trading. I could obviously do a lot more theory with you and underlying stuff, but I think it's actually kind of interesting to do some trading again and do some interesting work in this department. And probably one of the best things to look at now is multi-asset trading, because when you really want to do systematic trading strategies, you can't really get around multi-asset trading. That's really the bread and butter. And in my own daily work, I trade huge portfolios of assets because there's several important things that has, like, you can manage your risk much better. You can also, if you get to the point where you manage really large amounts of money, you can actually put a lot more money into your trading strategies because you have more things to choose from. But trading multiple assets also has a few challenges. And the main challenge is how to handle trading multiple assets in terms of programming, because that's not necessarily straightforward. So what we're going to do is to basically look at initially how we do this in a vectorized form, and then also see if we can do this or replicate what we're doing in a more event-based format, and then effectively move, bit by bit to learning about this. It's going to be really interesting. The other thing that we also going to learn is, we look at strategies that are in some sense event-based. So we have a strategy and we have, a trigger for it, a trading signal, and then we trade, and then we have maybe a signal that exits our strategy. And so we expand on that a little bit as well and move this to multiple strategies. And one of the challenges here is also to build this in a way that doesn't make things too complicated, because one of the things is when you build strategies and you build strategies with multiple assets, it can easily, very, very easily go completely out of hand. Like, the programming becomes extremely complex and difficult to handle. And what I'm going to show you first is how to build effectively trading models and backtests that are more manageable. So you're actually able to, despite the complexity, manage them quite well. And the way to do this is actually to do it in a more layered sort of fashion. So instead of doing everything all at once, what we're going to do is we're going to basically combine things in a more structured way, so they become more manageable. And I mean, obviously, even if you're a programmer or a computer scientist, that's not necessarily always obvious. I've seen people building big systems and they're like one size fits all and all this, and they're good for everything, but they become quite complicated. And the other problem is, if you build something that is very universal and general, it also becomes pretty slow. And that's really not what we want. So let's dive straight into it. One of the things that I've done here is, so I started this new notebook and I imported a package which is called Technical Analysis Library. So what we're doing at the moment is we're using a bit of technical trading signals. And the reason for that is not because I'm a believer in technical analysis, but because some technical analysis just provides us with trading signals that we can use, in a sense, as a proxy or as a sort of approximation for market inefficiencies. So some things in the market that aren't completely random, that we can exploit, we can actually find them using some of these technical signals. So in a way, it's not strictly technical analysis, more we're using some of these indicators to exploit some linear and nonlinear inefficiencies in the market. And so this is far from being voodoo or black magic or something, because I don't believe in it. When we use this technical analysis, we use it in a very, very strictly systematic manner. So what we will not do is we will not interpret technical signals or anything other than in a strictly mathematical and statistical way. So that's really, really important. So we're not looking at charts and we're not going like, oh, I think this might happen or I think this might happen. None of that. We're basically just purely looking at technical signals, and we're very much strictly interpreting in a statistical way and see what we find with that. But before we do this, let's just start first of all getting into a little bit into what we do is when we actually manage trading signals. And so there's a few interesting things here. So what I've done is basically I imported this piece of code. Now you don't need to necessarily understand fully what this does, but basically wget is a Linux command and it downloads some code from a website, which you can see here, Launchpad. And then dpkg is also a Linux command, which is basically installing that code that we downloaded on that Linux server, which underlies Google Colab. And then we do a pip install. So once we have this, we're actually getting what's called a deb or a Debian package. There's a few of them, libta and ta. And then we're using those packages and we use pip, which is the Python install system. And we basically install ta-lib. So that's really the important step here. The other thing is literally just code that you can copy and paste online to install this on your server. And then what we also want to do is we want to install yfinance. You remember yfinance is the package that downloads market data. And then finally, we have a few packages here that we want to download just so we can build our trading systems.